Hello and welcome to Yoga by Nature podcast. The following is a 1 hour class that it's a recording of a live class that I taught online last Saturday, and it's quite a fun flowy class looking at different ways to do probably familiar poses. We do some work with cross-referencing across the body. And so it's quite a good one to just switch things up and look at different ways of experiencing things. And so I really hope you enjoy it. It's fairly dynamic, fairly challenging. So if you're used to restorative yoga, it's a bit more energized, a lot more energized than that, with lots of flow. And so this goes out from me to you with lots of love, as always. I hope you're all well. I hope you're all safe. And thank you so much for being part of this community. Namaste. So just come to lie on the back. We'll start in Shavasana. So you could either have your knees bent or you can have your legs straight. So classic Shavasana is with the legs straight. But if you feel more comfortable with knees bent, do that. So let's start with a bit of time to arrive. Have your arms resting at the sides of your body, so a generous distance away from your sides, and close your eyes for a moment if you're comfortable to have your eyes closed, and trace an imaginary line from the crown of your head through the center of your body down to the breastbone, through the center of the breastbone, through the navel, the center of the pubic bone, and then down to the bottom of the mat. Welcome, Pauline. And just arrange yourself so you're more or less symmetrically placed. So the right and the left side are more or less symmetrical. They'll never be completely symmetrical, but let's just go for that. And become aware of the whole of the right side of the body. So notice the right side of your torso and your right leg and foot and toes, the right shoulder and arm, and the wrist and the hand, and also notice the right side of your neck and face and head. So be aware of how much space you feel that right side is taking up, what sensations are there, how heavy or light does it feel. Where there is tension, where there is ease. And then move your awareness to your left side and feel into the left side of your torso and the left leg and foot and toes, the left shoulder and arm and hand and fingers, the left side of your neck and face and head. And notice on this side, how big does it feel? How much space are you occupying? Which bits are heavy, which bits are light, which bits feel spacious, which bits feel contracted? How does it compare to the right side? And now become aware of the whole body again. Just take a few conscious breaths as we prepare to move into our asana practice. And so we're going to bring the legs together. And turn the toes up so that they're looking up towards the ceiling, and the thighs will roll in towards each other slightly. Press the backs of the thighs down towards the ground and lengthen the tailbone and bring the back of the waistline towards the ground. It may touch the ground. And then just tuck your shoulder blades underneath so that the collarbones broaden. And then interlace the fingers and press the palms up towards the sky and bring the arms back behind the head, keeping the back of the rib cage and the back of the waistline in contact with the ground. You can just very lightly press the heels into the ground just to maintain that contact, that alignment through the lower body. And then release the arms to the sides. Cross your right ankle over your left ankle, keeping the feet flexed so the toes are drawing back towards the shins. And now sort of squeeze the inner ankles together and pull the femur bones apart. Notice what happens and keep pressing through the heels so you're lengthening the legs. How does it feel? And then uncross. And we'll go the other way. So left ankle will cross over right. The feet will stay flexed. So the heels will be pressing away from you. And then we'll squeeze the inner ankles together and then sort of press the femur bones apart so the hips broaden. And then unfold or uncross. Okay, let's bring the right knee in towards the chest. And you can either take hold of the back of the right thigh or take hold of the outer shin or the outer edge of the foot to come into half happy baby. So that right heel will be kicking up towards the ceiling. And you can have the left leg straight or the knee might be bent if you need to find a bit more ease in the pose. So you're going to deeply bend that right knee. And then release the right foot down to the ground. We'll bring the left knee in and we'll just briefly visit half happy baby on the left side. So you'll either hold the back of the thigh, the shin, or the outer edge of the foot. And that right leg can go straight only if it feels good in your lower back. If it feels tense and the pelvis starts to twist around towards the left, then it's too much. Okay. Soften into the left side of your lower back. And then release the left leg. Okay, so we're going to roll over onto one side. And then use your hands to press yourself all the way up to seated. And come and take a cross-legged seat if that's available to you. And if not, take another seat that suits you. But we're moving into a hip opener, so cross legs will be the most effective. And do come up and sit on a block if that helps. I'm going to place the hands in front, so the fingertips are on the ground just in front of you, and then walk the sitting bones back. You'll feel the sitting bones broadening. And then start to creep the fingertips forward. So it's your breastbone that's reaching forward. The abdomen is lengthening. And those of you who are a little bit more flexible or warmed up already, then you can bring the forearms to the ground here and have the backs of the upper arms sort of lightly pressing into the shins. And to do this, if you don't have the forearms on the ground, to get that same stretch, you're going to push your fingertips into the ground. So the fingertips press down and forward and the sitting bones move back. You're sliding back. Walk the hands over towards the left, angling the rib cage down towards the ground. So those right ribs are angling down towards the ground, and creep the right fingertips a little bit further away from you. So you're lengthening that right bank of the body. Let's go over to the other side. So walking the hands over to the right. Same thing, little twisting action here. The left rib cage drops towards the ground and we'll creep the left fingertips away. And then come back to center and bring yourself all the way up to seated. We're going to change the cross of the legs and do that on the other side because it's an asymmetrical pose. And we want to work on the other hip now. So place the fingertips in front, do a quick bum shuffle. So walking the hips back. And then start to fold forward. And if you're with fingertips on the ground, you're going to probably be pressing the fingertips down and forward. The sitting bones slide back. Or forearms to the ground with the backs of the arms to the shins. And you can lightly draw the arm bone back so it presses into the shin to deepen the pose. Soft belly, soft gaze. And then we'll walk the hands over towards the right, lengthening along the left side so that left hand slides away from you. And the left hip rolls back. Let's do the other side. So we'll walk the hands over to the left. Slide the right fingertips or walk the right fingertips away from you and roll the right hip back. Angle the ribcage down towards the ground. Beautiful. And then walk the hands back to center. And we'll come all the way up to seated, lifting the breastbone to rise. And then tip forward or get there any way you can to all fours. And so your hands will be up at the top of your mat. And we'll walk the knees back a little way away from the hips, so that the knees are just behind the hips. Tuck your toes under and sit back onto your heels for a foot stretch. And then walk the hands forward, come up onto fingertips, and then bring the chest back towards the thighs. So the chest is sort of dropping down away from the crown of the head. And the armpits are lifting. Imagine you've got some helium in your armpits and they're floating up towards the sky. And lengthening. Lovely. Walk the hands back towards you. And let's just come to sit on the heels. Swing the legs out in front. So you've got your feet standing on the floor in front of you. And we'll make more or less a right angle in the knee. So your feet will be about 2 feet in front of the hips, and then place the hands behind you with the fingertips pointing in towards the hips, okay? So we're going to come into a reverse table pose. Take a little bend in the elbows so that the heart can lift and the collarbones can broaden, and then press down with the hands and the feet, lift the hips up and keep lifting them up and keep lifting them up. Keep that little bend in the elbows so the heart can rise, lengthen the tailbone down. If you're not getting lift off here, it might help you to raise your hands by putting blocks under your hands. One more breath. And now sit down really close to your heels. So bring your bottom down as close to your heels as you can. For a bicep stretch, you can leave your hands where they are. So if you've ever wondered how to stretch out your biceps, this is it. Squeeze the shoulder blades together and hug the elbows together. You'll probably be getting a bit of a stretch in the wrist and the forearm as well here. If you're not getting anything, shuffle forward more with your lower body. Okay, wonderful. So we're going to just shift back, swing the legs behind you again, and come back to all fours. So let's turn the fingertips out towards the edges of the mat. All right, stage 1. We're going to a wrist stretch. And now we're going to keep turning the fingertips back. So they'll go towards pointing back towards the knees. So just do as much as you can here. And then we're in a wrist stretch. So we have the inner knuckles quite firm to the ground here. And you'll probably feel that will make it a little bit more intense. If it's not intense enough already, then you can slide your hips back, keeping the heels of the hands on the ground. And you'll probably feel that. Let's come back to all fours and liberate our wrists. If that felt quite strong, then you might need to have a little shake out now. Good. Let's hold on to the edges of the mat. So we're going to hold on to the edges of the mat, quite close to the top of the mat. So your thumbs are pointing up towards the top of the mat. Walk the knees back a little way and tuck the toes under. And we're going to press down with the feet and the hands and lift up into down dog. The chest presses back towards the thighs. Spread the shoulder blades apart, making your upper back broad and across the back ribs. And now just let your head hang. See if you can persuade your neck muscles to completely let go, so your head can sort of hang like a big ripe melon from the end of the spine. And then bring the knees all the way back down to the mat. Untuck the toes, sit back on the heels for a moment, and we're just going to take 2 full breaths in Child's Pose. Relaxing the pelvic floor, the belly, broadening across the back. And now slide the hands up to the top of the mat. Position the hands so they're about shoulder distance apart, and then unfold all the way back again into down dog. So step the feet a little bit closer together, so they're quite close to the midline. Press the thighs back away from the belly, and now raise the right leg up towards the sky. So you're coming into 3-leg dog, toes will point towards the ground. And then roll the right hip back and turn the pelvis towards the wall to your right. Bend the right knee and look underneath your right armpit. The rib cage is also looking up towards the sky, so that breastbone is looking up towards the sky, or trying to. And now step the right foot all the way up to the top of the mat. And come into a high lunge. So that's a straight leg lunge with the back leg straight. If you need a gentler practice, keep the back knee on the ground. Lovely. And just before we come up into crescent pose, I'd like to just do this alignment. So we're going to roll the thighs in towards each other. So your legs are internally rotating. Make sure the inner edge of that right foot is really firm to the ground, and that will help to create a healthy alignment, pathway of support through the lower body. And let's rise all the way up. Sweep the arms up. Stand really strong in the legs. That back leg is as straight as can be. And then we're going to take hold of the left wrist with the right hand. And now use that right hand to pull that left wrist up towards the sky, and then curl over towards the right. So you're arching over to the right. Keep the left leg straight if you can. Wonderful. Come back to center. Place left fingertips to the ground, and then open up in a twist towards the right. So reach that right arm up to the sky and then curl back. Get really heavy in the outer right hip. So the weight's dropping from the outer right hip into the outer edge of that right foot. Great, bring the back knee to the ground. Place your right hand on your right thigh. And we're going to walk that left hand off the mat. It's going to go way off the mat. So you can lean over a bit, over to the left. And then we're going to twist towards the right again. And as we do that, we're going to drop that front left hip down towards the ground. So we're going to use this right hand to increase the stretch in the hip. So we're going to use the right hand to press the thigh away, roll to the outer edge of the right foot, and then twist the upper body up towards the ceiling. And if you actually just sort of take hold of the flesh of that right thigh and turn the flesh, so you're rotating that right leg out away from the body. You're kind of moving the skin, and the bone will follow. Lovely. And let's release, placing the hands either side of that right foot. So you have a few options here. Let's come back to down dog. So you can either stay in down dog, or you can take a rest in child's pose or another resting pose now, or come through a vinyasa with me. So for a vinyasa, we'll go to plank or half plank with the knees on the ground, and then slowly lower onto the belly. Rise up for a little baby cobra. So the chest lifts, the shoulders roll back, lots of strength in the lower back, and then we'll unfold and press all the way back into down dog with the inner knuckles firm to the ground. Let's step the feet close together and then raise the left leg. Good. Roll the left hip back, turning the pelvis towards the left. Lift the left femur bone away from the right femur bone and then bend the knee. Stabilize through the shoulder joint, so you're hugging the arm bones in close to the shoulder joint. And then step the left foot all the way up to the top of the mat. Good. Stand really strong in the legs in this high lunge. Power up the back leg. And then roll the thighs in towards the midline. So you're turning your thighs in towards the middle of the body. Stand strong in the feet. Rise all the way up. Sweep the arms up. Come into crescent lunge. So holding onto the right wrist with the left hand. Use the left hand to pull that right arm and that right side body a little bit longer and taller, and then curl over to the left. Keeping the back leg straight, that's the challenge. Strong in the back leg. Beautiful. Let's come back to center and release the right fingertips to the ground, and we'll twist towards the left. So the belly, the ribs, the chest, turn, and then we'll open that left arm out, spreading a wing, and then curl back. So use the whole of the foot here, not just the heel. So make sure the weight's in the front part of the foot as well. And then bring the right knee to the ground, the left hand rests onto the thigh. So if you heel toe that left leg, left foot a little bit wider, walk the right hand off the mat, drop the hips towards the ground, and then we're going to roll that left thigh out. So you can roll to the outer edge of the left foot, using the left hand to turn the flesh of that left thigh away from the body. There's two really good reasons to use hands to self-assist in yoga. The first one is that wherever your hand is, that part of the body is going to get a greater representation in the brain. So it helps to build your body awareness. And also, when you move one layer of the body, all the others follow. It's all interwoven, all these strata. So when you move your skin, then your bone follows. Let's release. Place the hands to the ground. Step your right foot forward up to the top of the mat and fold into a forward fold, Utanasana. Let's take a couple of really deep, full breaths here into a soft belly, so abdominal breathing. Just letting the spine move with the flow of the breath. On your next inhale, lift the chest, come into a half forward bend. So you might be on your fingertips here, or you might have your hands on your shins. And then exhale, fold in. Two more times. So inhaling to look forward, exhaling to fold. One more time. Soft belly, empty the breath as you fold in. And then with your next inhale, let that carry you all the way up to standing. Inhaling all the way up to the very tips of the fingernails. And exhaling the hands in to rest at the heart. Just taking a couple of moments to mindfully set your posture in Tadasana. So rooting into the earth through the four corners of the feet, letting the weight of the pelvis drop down into the feet. broadening across the collarbones. And then just let gravity take the tops of the shoulders away from the ears. On your next inhale, reach the arms up high. And as you exhale, dive up and over, come into a forward bend. Let's do a sun salutation. So with the inhale, you'll look forward halfway. And then we'll exhale all the way back to plank or half plank. Take an inhale at plank and then exhale your way all the way down. So either knees, chest and chin or body parallel to the ground for chaturanga. And then sweep the chest forward and up. Cobra Pose. We're going to do this a little bit differently today. So you're going to lose some of the height in the upper body so that you can lift your legs as well. So the chest and the head are lifting, the collarbones are lifting, and the legs are lifting away from the ground. If you get any twinges here, then just go back to your normal cobra. And then we're going to inhale, open the feet wide, and then exhale, hug them back together. And we're going to do that 5 times. So inhaling, widening the feet apart. Exhaling, squeeze the thighs together. Just 3 more times, just breath by breath. Last one, well done. And then release the legs down and we'll unfold all the way back into down dog. And if you wish to close your eyes here, so you can get a bit more feedback from the body, do that. Tune into your breath. See if the body wants to grow a little bit more into this pose now as you warm up. Maybe the armpits want to lengthen more, maybe the side body wants to lengthen. Maybe the hips want to broaden. Okay, wonderful. So we're going to take 2 huge steps up to the top of the mat. So you're in a standing forward bend, and we're going to do this a little differently. So we're going to cross the right ankle in front of the left. So both feet are standing on the floor, but you've got your legs crossed at the ankle. Okay, and then we're going to take an inhale to look forward halfway, and then we'll exhale to fold in. And you might feel that the upper body starts to drift over to the left to avoid the intensity of the stretch. So we're going to aim to keep the breastbone central. If you need some support here for your hands, you can always take your blocks or bolsters or books and have the hands resting on those so you can concentrate on what's going on in the lower body. Okay, yeah, it can be quite intense in the hips. Okay, so stand the heels really firmly down. Stand strong in the bones of the legs. Lift the chest. Come all the way up to standing with the legs crossed. Reach the arms up. Hug the thighs together for balance. And then bring the hands into the heart. Great. Let's uncross. And we'll try side 2. Inhale. Sweep the arms up. Reach high. And then as you exhale, dive into your forward fold. Inhaling to look forward halfway. And then with the exhale, we'll come back to plank or half plank. Take an inhale here. And then exhale, lower yourself to the ground. So we're just going to do a normal cobra this time. You'll probably be relieved to hear. So coming up to Cobra Pose on the inhale. Draw the collarbones back. And unfold all the way back to down dog. And we'll just take a few centering, quietening breaths in down dog, eyes closed if you wish. Take a tiny little bend in the knees and then move the head of the femur bone back so it snuggles back into that cave of the hip socket. And then take 2 big steps up to the top of the mat. Now the left ankle is going to cross in front of the right. And then fold in. And you might find here that this side feels radically different from the other side, and that's okay, that would be completely normal. Try and keep the inner edges of the feet down. If you need to, then just bend the knees a little bit to make it all possible. Just let the head hang. And in a new and potentially challenging pose, sometimes the whole body will just go and kind of contract because it doesn't know what's going on. So see where you can find the softness. Soften the shoulders, the eyes, belly. Stand strong in the heels, so drive the heels into the ground, hug the thighs together, and then rise all the way up to standing, reaching high. Full inhale, and then with the exhale, bring the hands in to the heart. Okay, wonderful. So let's uncross the legs. Take an inhale, reach the arms up, we'll flow a little bit more, and then exhale, dive up and over, forward fold. And then inhaling, lift the chest. And exhale, step back to either down dog or plank. Plank being the more challenging option here. And now we're going to cross the legs again. So cross your right foot behind your left foot. And now we're going to do that same thing that we did lying on the back. We're going to squeeze the inner ankles together and widen the femur bones away from each other. Let's try the other side. So uncross, cross on the other side. So left ankle goes behind the right. Squeeze the inner heels and inner ankles together. Well done. And press all the way back into down dog. If you need to take a rest in child's pose, then please do rest whenever you need to. Listen to your body first and listen to me second. Beautiful. Let's step the right foot up to the top of the mat. Spin the left heel down to the ground, and we're going to come all the way up to standing, reaching the arms wide, legs straight. And we're going to completely spoil this lovely transition now by grabbing a brick. So if you have a yoga block handy, then have that next to your right foot. So it's going to stand about 10 inches diagonally away from the right foot. Ready for a half moon pose. Okay, so let's stand with the legs straight, ready for Trikonasana. So you've got your hips square to the long side of the mat. The right toes are completely turned out, so they're looking towards the short side of the mat. Strengthen up the legs, so engage the thighs, and then open the arms wide. Take an inhale, and then tipping the pelvis over towards the right. We'll come into triangle. The fingertips will rest on the thigh or the shin or maybe even the ankle. And then we'll reach the right arm up. Turn the right belly away from the right thigh. Lovely. And then turn to gaze. Just pass the fingers of that right hand. Keep the inner edge of that right foot strong, sharp to the ground. Okay, so here we go. Half moon pose. So bring the left hand to the hip. Let's take a bend in the right knee. You can place your hand on your block, whatever setting it's at. And then step in and up. Float the left leg back and up and roll the left hip back. And then when you've got your balance, you can open that left arm. So eyes to the ground, towards those right toes. If you're feeling wobbly here, and when you're feeling more confident, you can turn the gaze slowly to look up towards the ceiling. From here, we're going to bring the left foot behind the right foot, crossing at the ankles, and then fold forward into your cross-legged forward bend. Lift the right hip up, away from the right side of the foot. Well done. Guess what? We're going back into half moon pose. So place your hand on your block. Bring your left hand to your hip. Sweep the left leg back and up and roll the left hip out. Lengthen the tailbone down. Both legs are your standing legs. Lift that left leg strong and high. Beautiful. And then from here, we're going to place both hands to the ground, square the torso to the ground, and bring your left knee up behind the left foot. And we're moving to Ardha Matsyendrasana, a twist. So you'll have your right foot crossed to the outside of the left knee and the left heel sitting next to your right hip. Okay. Hold on to your right knee with your left hand and then take an inhale, raise the right arm. And then exhale, twist towards the right, bringing the right fingertips to the ground just behind you. You can hold on to the knee with the hand, or you might tuck the knee into the crook of the arm. Do be careful not to drive the twist too hard or drive the twist from the shoulders. So again, find the softness. It's easy to find the strain, it's easy to find the hard edge, but it requires a little bit more mindful attention to find the softness in the pose. Soften the shoulders. Okay, great. So we're going to place the hands to the top of the mat. So unwind, place the hands to the top, and we're going to step, or perhaps you want to jump back into either down dog or plank or child's pose. If you're in plank, come through a vinyasa with me, so you're lower to the ground, sweep forward and up, cobra or upward facing dog, and then rolling over the toes, press all the way back into down dog. And we're ready to do side two. So let's step the left foot in between the hands, spin the right heel to the ground, and then rise all the way up. Autopilot, Utanasana. If you're using a brick, you're going to place that 10 inches outside the left foot. So legs are straight from the pelvis, grow the legs into the ground. So you're rooting through the four corners of the feet. Take an inhale to spread the arms wide, and then exhale, tip over to the left, and you'll seesaw over into triangle. So if your neck feels okay, you're going to look up past the fingers of the right hand. I'll mirror you in this one. Good. Straighten up that right leg. And let's go to half moon. So we'll bring left hand to the hip. Oh. Right hand to the hip. Place your hand onto your brick. Take a half step in and up. I just realized I don't need to mirror you because I'm doing the same side as you. Raise the right arm. Half moon pose. Maybe even lift the gaze. Scoop the left sitting bone under, lengthen the tailbone down, and engage the legs. All these things are going to help you to balance. Or they might make you fall over, I don't know. Okay, let's bring the right foot behind the left foot, fold forward into your cross-leggy forward bend. Soft belly. Take a breather here and do bend the knees as much as you need to. You might have your fingertips on the ground, you might have the hands supported somewhere on your legs. Great, and steel yourself for Ardha Chandrasana number 2. So placing the left fingertips outside the left foot, bring the right hand to the hip, and then sweep that right foot back and up, roll the right hip back, open across the heart, reach from the breastbone all the way out to the fingertips. One more breath. And then bring the right hand down, step the left knee up behind, the right knee up behind the left ankle, And you're in Ardha Chandrasana. Left foot crosses to the outside of the right knee. The left heel is sitting next to your right hip. Not confusing at all. So bring your right hand to your left knee. Inhale, raise the left arm. And then exhale, let's twist to look towards the left. And there's always the option here of going deeper, so tucking the knee to the crook of the arm. Finding the beginnings of the twist really deep in the belly. Go to the very lower belly, just above the pubic bone, and twist from there. And then the rest of the body follows in the wake of that initial engagement in the lower abdomen. And let's unwind. Great. Place the hands up to the top of the mat. Step back, either down dog, child's pose, or plank pose. If you're in plank, come through a vinyasa in your own time. And find yourself back in down dog. Okay, so let's step the right foot up to the top of the mat. Spin the left heel flat. And then keep the right knee bent, and we're going to windmill all the way up into Warrior Two, opening the arms wide. So you've got a nice deep bend in the right knee towards 90 degrees. Sit really deeply into that right hip. Press the left thigh back. From the very center of the body, from the navel, press out, radiate out into the arms, the legs, the crown, and the tail. Turn the right palm up, bring the left hand to the back of the thigh, and then lift the belly, lift the arm, and curl back. So that right side of the body, the front of the body, is lengthening, but we also want the back to be lengthening. So the tailbone's reaching down, the roof of the mouth is lifting up. Lovely. Release the pose, bring that right leg to straight. And then heel toe the feet together, or jump the feet together into Tadasana. Beautiful. Stand the feet steady on the ground. And if it's comfortable for you, have your feet fairly close together. But if that makes your lower back and hips feel tight, then go as wide as you need to. Take an inhale and open the arms wide. Turn the palms up. From the breastbone, reach all the way down the inner seam of the arm into the tip of the middle finger. And let's turn towards the right. So if your knees and hips and ankles feel okay, you're going to turn from the ankles, knees, hips, chest, turn. If you have any knee issues, then just turn from the waist. And we'll turn to look over the right shoulder with your eyes, but your collarbones are looking up towards the sky. And they're bright and alert. And then come back to center, open wide, and let's go to the other side. So you'll need to sort of reach a little bit more firmly through your right foot as you turn towards the left. Make sure the inner edges of the feet are down on the ground. Collarbones gazing up towards the ceiling. And then come back to center and float the arms back down to the sides. So the arms are just sort of draped at the sides, like pendulums. Great. So we're going to come into a balancing sequence. If you're standing sort of, oh no, we're not, we're going to do the other side of Warrior Two. Nearly forgot. Let's take the feet wide. Turn the left toes out. Take a deep bend in the left knee. Drop deeply into the left sitting bone and track that left thigh towards the pinky toe side of the foot. And now your belly is going to turn away from that left thigh. Yes, open the arms wide. So from the breastbone, reach all the way down to the fingertips. from the navel, radiate out, grow into the tips of the toes, the tips of the fingers, the crown of the head, the tip of the tail. Beautiful. Turn the left palm up, bring the right hand to the back of the thigh, and then curl back. And you can sort of lean a bit into the back of that thigh to create a kind of a lever that helps you to lift the belly and curl back. Lovely. And then bring the left leg back to straight and release the arms. Fantastic. So heel toe or jump the feet back together. And now we're going to do a balancing sequence. So we'll come to stand at the top of the mat, standing on the left foot. Take just a half step back with the right toes, the right foot. So you're on the very tips of the right toes, which are just, yeah, they're about a foot or so behind the left foot. And then open the arms wide, like you're spreading your wings. Bring the movement from the lower tips of the shoulder blades. You're kind of fanning the arms out. Now lift the collarbones again and curl back, so it's a little bit of a back bend. Lift the right toes away from the ground and start to tip forward. So angel pose, we're going to stay here, so we're upright. Lift the back of the heart, curl back. And we're going to go from here. This is optional, all is optional. We're going to fold forward, so hug the arms to the sides and fold forward even more, moving to warrior number 3. So the body's parallel to the ground. Lift the inner right thigh. And then bring the right foot down to meet the left. Wow, well done, excellent. So let's step the left foot back. Angel pose on the left side. So just have the tips of the toes resting lightly. Fan the arms, like angel wings, from the sort of wing buds at the lower tips of the shoulder blades. Lift the heart, curl back, and then just float the toes up away from the ground. And the gaze is up. You can sort of look up towards the meeting point between the ceiling and the wall. That should be about the right gaze for your neck. And then let's fold into warrior 3. So hug the arms to the sides. So we'll have the arms back for this variation. Flex the left foot now, so the toes are pointing down. Press from the top of the thigh, the circumference of the left thigh, all the way down to the 4 corners of the feet. One more breath. And then bring the left foot down to meet the right. Good. And I think we're warmed up now. Let's take a step up to the top of the mat and bring the hands to the heart. And take a long exhale. Close your eyes if you're comfortable to do that. Follow the inhale to raise the arms up to the sky. And then come into a forward fold. Flowing with the breath. Inhaling, looking forward halfway. And then just step gently back into down dog. Just so we can transition into pigeon pose. So we're going to bring the right knee towards the right wrist and walk the right foot over towards the left. Sliding the left knee back as far as is comfortable. Let's keep the left toes tucked under in this variation today. Roll the right hip back. And then if you have a forward fold here, you could explore me bending the elbows, bringing the chest forward. Your forearms might come all the way to the ground. Your forehead might come all the way to the ground. But we're more interested in what's going on in the hips in this pose. It's a hip opener. And having the toes tucked under there will just help to stabilize the hips so you can get a truer stretch, a truer alignment in the pelvis. Just breathing here. Once you're there, you can forget about alignment, you can forget about what it looks like. Just feel into it. What does it feel like? And can you breathe your way through any intensity? walk the hands back towards you. So they're going to walk back, sort of back towards the almost hip level. Press the fingertips into the ground, lift the chest and curl back. And again, this is optional. If you have it in you, if you've got more energy to burn, you're going to bend the back knee, reach back, hold on to the top of the left foot, and then draw the heel towards the outer hip for a thigh stretch. So if you kick the foot into the hand, you get a shoulder stretch as well, which is quite nice. Let's release. We'll go back to down dog. Give that right leg a good shake. And then we'll bring the right foot down, step the left knee up to the left wrist. The lower leg crosses the mat. And we want to have the knee wider than the hip. Have the right toes tucked under. Lovely. And just explore the range of motion here. Just see where it takes you. There's no end point in the pose, so it's best not to get stuck on a certain destination or a version of the pose that you want to create, but just feel into what the body's actually asking to do now. Might be different from the desire of the mind. Soft shoulders. Just let the pose unfold one breath at a time. And then walk the hands back towards you. Bend your right knee if you're going there. And then we'll reach back, take hold of the top of the foot. You take the inner edge of the foot, that usually gives you a better alignment. And then bring the heel towards the outer hip. Kick the foot into the hand, creating some resistance. And that will help to just open up the front of the right shoulder a bit as well. Release the right foot. And let's shake that left leg out. Give it a good old shake. And then bring both feet to the ground. Bring the knees to the ground. Sit back onto your heels. Swing the legs in front. We're going all the way down to lie on the back. And place your heels just in front of your sitting bones. We'll position the feet so that the feet are about hip width apart. Be generous with the width in between the feet. Toes can be a little pigeon-toed. And just begin to sink that imprint of the foot into the ground. Keep sinking the feet into the ground until the pelvis starts to float up towards the sky. Again, the thighs are slightly rolling in towards each other. Come up into bridge pose. So you're starting to lift the breastbone. Lift the heels coming up to, so you're on tiptoes now, on the ball of the foot. And now lengthen the tailbone down. And we're going to reach the sitting bones. Imagine you're sort of drawing a line from the sitting bones down the backs of the thighs to the backs of their knees. Hold that. Bring the heels back down. And then slowly lower down, rolling the spine back down onto the ground. So, if you're up for going upside down today, we're going to do shoulder stand. And if shoulder stand is not in your practice, I would suggest working a little bit more with bridge, the pose that we just did. Or you can work with candlestick pose, where you have the legs raised and they're straight up, as if you're sitting in staff pose, but you're lying down. So that's candlestick pose. Your ankles will be just above your hips. and the legs will be straight. All right. For shoulder stand, only come into shoulder stand if you've done it before. I'm not teaching it online. So if you're comfortable with shoulder stand, then go ahead. And if you just feel like you need a rest now, it has been a fairly challenging class today. You could always take some time here in Baddha Konasana with the soles of the feet together, the knees wide out to the sides. So the soles of the feet are together, the knees are wide out to the sides. The arms can just rest at the sides or hands on the belly. If you are in shoulder stand, walk the elbows a little bit closer together. So Pauline, just see if you can kind of walk your elbows in. If you sort of bend your knees and put your knees on your forehead for a moment, that will allow you, that will allow you more freedom to do that. Yes, lovely. And if you're in shoulder stand, you could always explore Plow Pose now. So bringing the feet towards the ground, they might hover above the ground or they might come all the way down, and then you'll release your arms to place your hands on the ground or interlace your fingers. And if you're in Baddha Konasana with the soles of the feet together, a really nice thing to do here is to come into prayer pose with your hands and rest the base of the thumb on the third eye, so the point just in between the eyebrows. That can be a very soothing position. And those of you who are in shoulder stand or plow, just come out when you've had enough, making sure that you bend your knees as you bring your feet to the ground. Okay, beautiful. So I think we're all there. So let's come together into another happy baby. So lying on the back, we're going to tuck the knees into the chest. We'll do full happy baby this time. So stage one, we're going to sort of squeeze the knees into the armpits. Stage two, we're going to kick the feet up towards the sky. Either hold the backs of the thighs or the shins or the outer edges of the feet. And sort of planting the knees into the ground next to the shoulders. And imagine you're trying to sort of crush a grape between your tailbone and the ground. And that is going to help to keep your lower back safe. Broaden across the pelvic floor. Well done. And then release the feet to the ground. You have a few options here, just depending on how you're feeling in your lower back today. So the first option is to come into a supine twist with the knees stacked one on top of the other. A slightly stronger option is to cross the right thigh over the left thigh and then drop the knees to the left. You could also, as a final stage here, wrap the right foot behind the left calf and come into eagle legs. That's very strong. And then roll to the outer left hip. And the head will turn away from the knees. Just let yourself fall into the pose. Let go of effort now. And then bring both of your knees back to center. Uncross if you're crossed, and then cross the other way and shift the hips a little over to the left so you can come to your fullest rotation in the spine as you drop the knees down to the right. Bring the knees back to center. If there's another pose that you need to do, then please be my guest. Otherwise, we're going to move to our final relaxation pose now. Shavasana, so come to lie on the back. Have the feet resting a little bit wider than the hips so that your feet can roll out to the sides. If you're not comfortable having the legs straight as you lie on your back, you can always elevate the backs of the thighs with a bolster or a couple of cushions to release the lower back, and that can sometimes help. And you can always do Shavasana lying on your side if lying on your back doesn't suit you. Become aware of the whole of the right side of the body. Become aware of the whole of the left side of the body. And now focus your awareness on the left nostril. Zoning in on the left nostril. Just notice temperature, movement of the breath in the left nostril. And you don't need to change the breath to do that, just simply notice. And then shift your awareness to the right side of the body, the whole of the right side. And now focus your awareness on that very small area of skin on the inner right nostril. Noticing the temperature and the sensation of the breath on the right nostril. Shift the awareness back to the left side. And then exhale as if you're only exhaling through your left nostril, and imagine the breath traveling all the way down the left arm into the left fingertips. And then inhale, imagining that you're inhaling all the way from the left fingertips of the left arm into the left nostril. Switch the awareness to your right side and then exhale down the right side all the way down to the right fingertips. And then inhale, right side fingertips all the way up to the tip of the nostril. And then switching to the left and exhaling on the left side. Continue in your own time. So you're switching nostrils after your inhale. And the next time you exhale through your left nostril, return your breath to its normal pattern, become aware of the whole body in its entirety, the outer body and also the inner body. Just take a few breaths in total awareness of being here in this room, in this body, with this breath. And it's time to bring this practice to a close now. So when you feel ready to, then just very gently begin to make some small movements, perhaps turning the head a little from side to side, wiggling the fingers and the toes, and then rolling over onto one side and pressing yourself all the way up to seated, and we'll close our practice together. Let's close with one Om and 3 Shantis. We'll take an inhale for Om. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Namaste. Thank you.